is there's a trend line that I never noticed before and make me go, whoa. This is one of them, all right? This is the Democratic margin among black men under the age of 45 in presidential elections. You go back to November of 2012, what do you see? You see Obama by 81. Clinton only won him by 63. Then we're all the way down to Biden last time around by 53. A tremendous drop already. And then you take a look at the average of the most recent polls, and Kamala Harris is up by only 41 points. That is about half the margin that Obama won them by back in November of 2012. And this, I think, is, when Barack Obama goes in last week when he was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, essentially talking to young black men, he made it seem like it was a Kamala Harris specific problem. This is part of a long-standing trend of young black men moving away from the Democratic Party, and Kamala Harris is just the latest to face that magnitude of younger black men going towards the Republicans.
That was most interesting here is the trend line and where some of the biggest drops happened or already happened in this case. How about black men overall?
It's part of the same picture. We're looking once again, if younger black men, it looks like the worst Democratic performance since 1960, since JFK versus Richard Nixon. It's the same thing among black men overall. Again, part of a similar trend, but here actually the drop-off isn't as dramatic, right? Barack Obama won him by 85. Then you see 71 with Clinton, 69. Biden, basically the same thing, holding steady. But here, again, very, very weak. Only a 54-point margin. Now, again, still winning him by a large margin, but considerably lower than what we're used to, certainly considerably lower what we had during the Obama years. The bottom line is Kamala Harris with younger black men and then black men overall putting in historically weak performance for a Democratic candidate.
Is she getting any relief with black women?
All right. So, we're talking about the trend line, right? And black women, look, she's doing better with black women than she is doing among black men. But here, there isn't a trend line almost until we get to Kamala Harris. So again, this is a black margin among black women. Look, Obama won him by 93, very large margin. Clinton won him by 93, a very large margin. Biden did a little bit worse at 85. But then you look here and you get a 71-point margin. Now, again, these are large margins. But the bottom line is when you're talking about the base of the Democratic Party, you would think that Kamala Harris would do very well among black women based upon history. And of course, she would be the first black woman president. But she's actually doing the worst for a Democratic candidate among black women since 1960.
What's up, y'all? Gerald here, creator of Gospel Chops and your host for this YouTube channel, back with another video. Now, if you are familiar with the black community, you understand that it takes a lot for brothers to come together. A lot of times we go behind closed doors and have private conversations and we bang it out just to keep private things private, and then we come back before the community and present a unified front. But y'all, sometimes it don't take all that. Sometimes Big Mama ain't got to sit us down and chastise us and tell us right from wrong for us to get on the same page. Sometimes things are just right. And as we come to the winding down of this 2024 presidential election, we see, y'all, puzzle pieces are fitting together. People are becoming unified, if by accident even. And in the black community, particularly amongst black men, they are definitely unified by the events of the past week, where Barack Hussein Obama came out and thought he was the king of black men and could wag his finger and make things happen the way he wanted them to happen. Tell black men the way they were thinking and the way they were acting was not acceptable. Well, acceptable to who? Barack? Barry Soetoro? Acceptable to who? Who are you talking to, sir, ma'am? Well, y'all, I put together a collection of the responses that I've been able to find on this here internet, because black folk ain't having it with Barack Obama. Black folks understand that Barack Obama was the swindler in chief of the United States of America. They feel taken. They feel like they got. And ain't no amount of soul he can put in his voice or in his step that can change the minds of especially black men who feel forsaken by a man who we once thought had a chance to be the greatest president ever. All he had to do was the right thing. Couldn't bring himself to do it. So a lot of Americans have regret, especially black men. So when you come out here, Mr. Obama, and you tell black men how wrong they are, how sexist they are, how misogynistic they are, well, they react to you in a certain way. So let's go on and roll this, y'all, so you can begin to understand from politicians to street dudes to rappers. Man, Berating got the entirety of the community upset with him.
Let me turn to the topic of what Kamala Harris is doing this coming week, particularly Monday and Tuesday. She's got several events courting Black voters. I know that you are talking about the Black vote coming out, particularly Black men, for Donald Trump. You're trying to help him along with that. To that point, can you talk specifically about what Donald Trump would do policy-wise in a second term to help Black Americans?
Sure, and thank you for that question. What Donald Trump is going to do is going to be actually quite similar to what he did in his first term. When you lower tax rates, when you cut these reckless and crazy policies that are now in the Kamala Harris administration, and you cut those regulations down, what it does is it frees up the ability for businesses to thrive, for people to be able to earn more money, for them to be able to keep more money in their pockets. All of his economic policies actually have a stabilizing effect on prices, and they grow our economy. You couple that with his energy policies. He calls it drill baby drill, but what it is being energy dominant in the United States of America. That also allows for us to put a cap on these massive price increases under the Kamala Harris administration. What that means in particular for Black families is that you have an ability to earn more money, keep more money, wages actually growing when you adjust them for inflation. And then the big stat, and this happened during the first Trump administration, nobody likes to talk about it. I heard Senator Warnock mention it. Wages adjusted for inflation were massively up under Donald Trump for Black men, for Black families, but for all Americans. The wage gap that Democrats love to lecture about, the wage gap in 2019 was actually shrinking under Donald Trump's administration, his economic policies, his energy policies, and his regulatory
Can I just
policies.
go back to the tax?
So that's the agenda
question
that Black men are looking at.
Okay, thank you for that. The tax cut question.
Again, go ahead.
I would imagine that Kamala Harris would say or would ask the question about how tax cuts for wealthy Americans will help the Black community. What's the answer to that?
Well, Kamala Harris would say something like that, but we know that she's wrong because economically she's been wrong for the last 1,400 days. If you look at Tax Cut and Jobs Act, it cut tax rates across the board, mostly for middle-class families. So this is why wages adjusted for inflation for Black families was higher under Donald Trump than any other administration in the history of our country. That is a record of economic success.
Let me just quickly play for you what former President Obama said exactly on this question of the economy a couple of days ago.
Yeah, it was pretty good because it was my economy. It wasn't something he did. I spent 8 years cleaning up the mess that the Republicans had left me the last time. He didn't do nothing except those big tax cuts.
I was working in finance during Barack Obama's administration. Let me tell you, the economy under his especially the last 5 years, was growing at about 1 to 1.5% per year. I think at the time, President Obama was saying that, this era of large economic growth is something of the past. We're going to have a more consistent economy. Well, in his words, a consistent economy meant one that barely grew. So when Donald Trump came in, he brought his tax cut policy in, which cut taxes across the board for everybody in our country. Couple the fact that he did cut massive regulations from the Obama administration. And what did we see? Economic growth in the United States went from 1.5% under Barack Obama to 3.5% under Donald Trump. Wages adjusted for inflation, like I said, because it's the truth, increased for every subgroup of Americans in our country. The wealth gap was closing. We were actually booming economically far more than we did under Barack Obama. So that's a cool statement he made on the stump, but it's not true.
We have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. That seems to be more pronounced with the Brothas.
Wow, they must really be terrified. They didn't brought out the big guns, Obama. They're starting to realize that more and more of us have been waking up and seeing how they try to get us to vote, not for the person who's best for our communities and who has the best policies that are going to bring positive change, but they want us to vote based on skin color. We see how Kamala Harris did black men when she was the top cop in California, Jamal Truelove. We see how she locked up a single black mother because her child missed too much school, when in reality, the child had sickle cell anemia and was in the hospital. We see how she was brought in as the first black woman vice president and played a part in our cost of living going up, our groceries going up, our gas going up, our border being let open for the entire world to come in, and people who've come here illegally getting preferential treatment over people who've been in these communities for decades. Our children being put last, illegal immigrants' children being put first. We see how the media told us that Trump was going to be the one to start World War III, and how under the Biden-Harris administration, we're on the brink of it. We see how the Democrat Party has failed our community, how they've hidden their history of trying to continue slavery, trying to keep blacks from voting, trying to keep Jim Crow going, being the party of the Klan, how they would take us out. And I ain't talking about to eat, when we chose to vote Republican. We see how they have Planned Parenthood buses outside of their conventions and target our community. How insulting is it that this man gets up there and tells us that we should vote for Kamala because we're black? Sorry, Obama, the gig is up. It's over.
People want to act like Trump is the worst motherfucker in the world, but guess what? He was already president, and all this shit you talking about didn't happen. He didn't make himself a dictator, and this whole shit about he's going to make himself a dictator is really taken so out of context that it's ridiculous. He said he'd make himself a dictator on the first day, to implement some shit, and then, but that was, trust me, said tongue in cheek. It was not said seriously. Y'all already living in Project 2024. Okay, you worried about Project 2025 when they already ran Project 2020 on you with the scandemic and all that fucking bullshit. Like, what the fuck are y'all really even talking about? Y'all trying to act like, scare me into thinking that he's so bad that I should just vote for this broad just because. But guess what? I feel that she's so bad. She's the one that scares me. So I feel that she's so bad that guess what? I might just go around and vote for Trump. And this is my first time saying this out loud. But y'all motherfuckers think you're going to shame somebody or bully it into voting for this? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And now you're going to make me be Mr. Anti. You keep coming at me with this bullshit. You keep coming at me talking about, oh, it's a shame that you're not supporting a black woman. She's not black. She's Indian. She ain't black. Get out of here. They're gonna, listen, I don't give a f. Trust me, the sentiment on the street in the real world is a lot of people are not with this woman. They see right through her. And they're trying to blame it on black men, but no, I see a lot of black women that are not with her neither. This is her, again, being disingenuous. First of all, black people don't wash no damn greens in no tub. How unsanitary are you to be washing collard greens in a tub and thinking that that makes you more relatable? See, that's how out of touch she is, how stupid she is. She thought she was giving a relatable story to make her seem black. Oh, yeah. Oh, they want me to cook their collard green. They bring me all their collard greens in the neighborhood. I had so many greens, I had to wash them in the tub. Just like she was in the you better thank a union member. You better thank a union member. She talking all black, but then when she get in front of the Spanish people, they said, I love you, Kamala. She said, I love you too. I love you too. Then when she gets in front of the white people, you better thank a union member for everything that you have because, union members are very, they're part of the economy. Like, who are you? Who are you? Trump is always Trump. I don't give a if you like him or not. He's always him. If he says he's going to say some arrogant shit, yup. He's going to say some arrogant shit. Sometimes he says some shit off the cuff. Yup. He does do that. But This motherfucker is a smart businessman. And I hate the people that say, oh, he's been bankrupt this many times. That's what smart businessmen do. First of all companies are not made to last. Some companies are made to be disposable. But y'all don't know that because you're not business people like that. You don't know, first of all, and people that are successful, you know how many failures they've had in order to be successful? Like, all your failures prep you for your success. Like, how are you going to say this man's a failure and he became the president of the United States?
The Democrats then unleashed Barack Obama into the wild to shame us black men for not supporting Kamala Harris, despite the fact that she's yet to unveil any policies that represent our interests. But if it was a white politician shaming other white men for not voting based on identity politics, y'all will call him racist. Why is it okay for Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, and all these other people that supposedly look like me? Why is it okay for them to get on TV and shame me for not voting for them simply because they look like me? That is racist, brother. I don't know how else to put it. That is racism. I don't have to vote for Kamala because she's quote unquote black. Just like I shouldn't have voted for yo because you got up there, you tap dance for the establishment, and you ain't do a goddamn for the black people that put you in office. You, brother.
This message is for President Obama. First and foremost, you're not going to tell me what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. Number one, I ain't going to vote for Kamala Harris. I think that she's going to make a bad president. She's a bad vice president. Everything she does, she tries to politicize it, and she hasn't shown the fact that she wants to put America first ever. So I'm not voting for that individual.
What you thought you was doing, Barack Obama? Boy, you didn't step out there. All you did was black men off, bruh. All you did was black men off. Why y'all think the American people why y'all think the Democrat Party own black folk? The Democrat Party don't own black folks, bruh. What you thought you was doing with that? We see the play. We see the play. Kamala Harris is losing. She's not going to win.
The audacity of you to say to us that we are required and we better vote for Kamala Harris and that we don't want to see a woman in a position of power. You're a liar.
And there you have it, y'all. Unity in the community. All thanks to Barack Hussein Obama. And when I look at the history of black men, I understand that brothers in the community have always wanted the best for the community. We just disagree sometimes on how to get there. If you look back at Malcolm and Martin, you can see that they both wanted the best for the community. They disagreed on the pathway to get there. Take it a little further back. Go to Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois, two black men who wanted the best for the community at the time in their era, but disagreed on the pathway to get there. It takes a lot to bring black men together to agree on something like this, and y'all, Barack Obama seems to have wielded the power that he believes he holds. That power to bring folks together in anger against him. Thank you, Barack, for getting the brothers together, for bringing them together and getting them on the same page, unified against Kamala Harris. I don't think that's the result you wanted, but it's what you got. It's unity in the community. And boy, feels kind of good, I gotta admit. Y'all let me know in the comments what you think about this. Seems like Barack Hussein Obama's plan backfired in a major way. I think he was supposed to come out and garner more votes, more support for Kamala. Seems like he did the exact opposite. Y'all let me know what you think. I'd love to know your thoughts on this, and don't forget to like the video. Subscribe to the channel and share the video so we can get more people involved in the conversation, y'all. And like I always say, always remember and never forget, without the gospel, it's just chops. Until next time, peace.